Welcome back to the Jersey Barrier and the finale of the 460 series, where we will make it all the way to the West End in Kentucky. I hope all of you have enjoyed it as much as I have so far. Now we're going to get into very rural parts of Virginia and Kentucky on our final stretch. Here we are leaving Blacksburg near the Toms Creek exit before the bypass connects back with the business route. No surprise that Bluefield is on here, and now it absolutely deserves it, as there not much until Bluefield. Here we are entering the Appalachian Mountains and Jefferson National Forest, and we see the sign for Pandapis Pond, still technically in Blacksburg here, but definitely not as much traffic as down by the Tech campus, as you can see. And now we move quite a bit up the road to the sign for the Cascades Waterfall in Pembroke. Definitely a cool place to stop. Been there a few times. And only 4 miles out of the way, as it says there on the sign, and a pretty cool trail and waterfall. Here we cross the river in Harrisburg. We've been in the NRV, New River Valley, for a while, but we are finally crossing it. Views like this will definitely be the pattern as we go further along the route. Aside from Bluefield, we are staying in very rural parts of these states. Here we go through Harrisburg, and we do get a business route for 460 in Harrisburg, so some population there. But here we are out of Harrisburg, and all signs of population are gone, but a great view of the mountains. Signage pretty limited along the route as far as I could tell, but I will take a great view like this as a substitute, even if we can't get mileage signs. Here we are moving into an infamous part of 460 in Narrows, Virginia, where the travel lanes shrank to one in each direction, as you can see. A lot of warning signs like this, as it is a crazy winding road in between the New River and the mountains. It's kind of insane that they can fit the lanes that they do. But we do get a mileage sign right here. First one says Blacksburg, or at least the only one I could find. And it's pretty much what you would expect. Bluefield, Virginia on the bottom line is a potential, but might be a little confusing for visitors to the area. So here is fitting the lane in between the mountains and more mountains. This road somehow used to be 2 lanes, and I honestly don't know how that's even possible for cars. Not to mention like a semi-truck trying to make that turn right next to the rock. It's just crazy. Glad VDOT did make the switch to 1 lane, and it's still kind of tight for 1 lane. So we are past the Narrows craziness in Rich Creek. Intersection with 219, good controls here. Lewisburg, especially great for 219. Bluefield, not too far right now, but that still is good there. We are crossing the New River once again, just before entering West Virginia, and we are finally out of Virginia, but not for too long. We get WIVDOT's first mileage sign, reasonable controls all around there, especially like Tazewell, Virginia on the bottom line. So here we are in Princeton, meeting 77, aka the West Virginia Turnpike, north to Beckley, great place, and I do like that. South to Wytheville, good control, as that is where it begins the south-north concurrency with I-81. Princeton and Bluefield, good on the pull-through, I do like that, nothing wrong here. Straight ahead, that's a little weird, but, you know, because we're still on it, but that's fine. Princeton, we get this mileage sign, not really sure how useful it is, but I'll take it. Now we see WIVDOT putting West or WV on their own sign. This is approaching Bluefield, West Virginia. A little strange, I get it, because there's 2 Bluefields, but you're like saying that your town is not well known enough to have no state abbreviation after it. I don't know, just a little odd. So finally here in Bluefield, West Virginia, finally here after VDOT signing from Bedford, Virginia. Many, many miles away. Too many. So here in Bluefield, where's 460? Spoiler, we are still on it. Wytheville again, and then state route to Welch. just before the state line in Bluefield, West Virginia. With that is reciprocating the favor of double out-of-state towns, but no Bluefield, Virginia, which is right across the state line. But Tazewell and Richland is two good controls, or some of the next bigger towns, if you want to call them that. And we are back in Virginia after a very brief foray into West Virginia, but still in a Bluefield, at least, the lesser populated counterpart to Bluefield, West Virginia. And here's the exit for Bluefield, Virginia on US 19. And we are finally past the Bluefields, beloved by VDOT so very much. And we get on this stretch of 460 that is named the Trail of the Lonesome Pine, as we continue through Tazewell County, Virginia, headed towards the town of Tazewell. And approaching Tazewell, you can see Bristol as the control for US 19. Claypool Hill is essentially 460's control, and that's where it splits from 19. That's alright, there's not very many big towns on the route for a while, so I just want to see consistency. But of course, we get an exit for Tazewell, and Rocky Gap. I don't know why there are two arrows, but okay. And just outside Tazewell, and here, of course, VDOT is not going to be consistent. Claypool Hill is gone. Richlands is there, which is the next town on 460. But why wouldn't they just sign that from before Tazewell? Grundy is a good primary. The town is big enough to have a Walmart, so that's good enough for me. It's just, you got to be consistent. But classic VDOT right there. 460-19 split in Claypool Hill. Grundy is gone. Pikeville, probably the biggest town on the route till Frankfort. But VDOT signing Kentucky town over their own, I would say shocking, but the Bluefield situation is what's much more worse, so I really have low standards at this point. Alright, so here we are in Raven, Virginia, a whole lot of mountainous nothing, and that will continue for quite a while. But here we skip ahead to Grundy, Virginia, and this incredible Walmart, the most beautiful Walmart I've ever seen. Look at that nice bridge, mountain behind it, it's great. Maybe the Jersey Barrier will have to go on site to this one, not too far from where we're at. Let us know in the comments, see if you want to see a little Walmart tour in Grundy, Virginia. We get just past Grundy, we are down to one lane on each side here, as it gets really desolate. This is not, because there's no necessity, unlike Narrows, where they were kind of forced to do it. Here, they're forced to do it just because usage is not there. Here, we enter the town of Mouthguard, Kentucky. Maybe we could get a sign. And we do. Pikeville, really the only acceptable control from here, so I'm glad to see they do it. Here in Mouthguard, yeah, 460 does go left. We do get a mileage sign as well, right after that one. Elkhorn City, Pikeville. That's fine. Pikeville's got to be on there. I don't really care what else. And we're skipping ahead to Pikeville, as I doubt there was any mileage signs between the last one and here. If there were, I don't know why you're wasting money on that. There's no reason. Mileage sign in Pikeville. These are good for the nature of the road here. Would make a few changes, but I'll let you know those at the end of the video. Paintsville, 39. That's a decent distance away. 460 had been running concurrent with 23 cents Pikeville, and we split here essentially in Paintsville. I mean, this is quite a bit down the road. Kentucky 40 goes to Paintsville and Salyersville, right down the road the other way. But this is a rare case where that's okay. Pretty soon we're going to get real close to I-64, which is way faster to Frankfort. So 460 becomes the worst option for through traffic, and it's essentially just a local use road for much of the rest of the way. So the small towns are going to be better from here on out rather than the big cities as we're getting close to 64. It's kind of similar to the situation that we had near Roanoke, where it's just running parallel. So the interstate is obviously going to be a little faster. We are going through Salyersville here. We're going right through it on 460. No business routes. This is the main route. And there are pretty much uh, no business 460s in Kentucky, unlike how often they were in Virginia. Here's an even better example in Salyersville. 460 does go left. I didn't see a sign, but uh, I guess you just gotta know. Leaving Salyersville, I thought these were some pretty cool rock formation berms on the side of the road. Definitely different, to say the least. Not really what I expected in Salyersville, Kentucky. Random junction here between West Liberty and Salyersville. West Liberty is the next major town, 3,000 people. That's big for this part of 460, so that's the right choices there. Welcome to West Liberty, Kentucky. We actually do get a sign for 460 here and another left turn to stay on right through another downtown. So pretty cool going through these small towns in Kentucky along 460. Probably not the fastest, but definitely scenic. Here we are in Wellington. We get no control, just double A arrow under the shield. Would appreciate us giving us a Mount Sterling. Maybe a 64 shield too, as that's where we're headed. We move ahead a long ways up to Mount Sterling, where we are very close to meeting 64 once again after a long time apart. Remember, at 460 start in Norfolk. It runs parallel with 64 for parts of its route. Definitely would have been much, much quicker to take 64 if you were trying to get to Mount Sterling, Kentucky from Norfolk. Probably at least 4 hours quicker. Here we are in downtown Mount Sterling. We are on 460. Not sure what is going on with this sign. 460 looks off, and the arrow for I-64 should be blue. So a little strange there, but I don't know. It gets the job done, I guess. In Mount Sterling, we get some pretty good controls for I-64. I think eastbound should probably be Charleston, West Virginia, but of course KYTC is going to sign the last town and state. You just got to expect that from most DOTs. Off of I-64, we do get Mount Sterling in Paris. It is still quicker to Frankfort on 64, even from here in Mount Sterling. Here in Radiator Springs, Paris, sorry, we continue straight on 460. Ka-chow. In Georgetown, no pull through, just a sign for 75, which, it's fair, but I don't love it. Here in downtown Georgetown, I kind of like the route shields up on the lights. Makes it real easy to actually pay attention to them, as some people might not pay attention to them, but you kind of have to when they're right up on the lights, and you got to look at the lights to know when to stop and go. So, yeah. And here in Woodlake, Frankfort is finally on the sign. Normally I'd be pretty disappointed, but for 460 and the nature of this road, I do not mind not seeing it until now. And we are in Frankfort, the end of 460. No end sign, unfortunately, as we're meeting up with another friend from Norfolk, US 60. And now that we are at the end, it is time for a little recap of what was signed throughout the route. I won't be doing the eastbound on 460, as most of it is pretty similar in terms of signage, or at least what should be signed. If this looks real crazy, yeah, it is. I'm not going to discuss this too much, but you can pause, take a look at that if you would like. I just do want to note on the eastbound, Frenchburg, I don't even know where that is. I guess we passed through it, but that's really terrible because there's a lot of small towns, but if they're not notable enough to be signed going westbound, they probably shouldn't be signed going eastbound. And just a little bit different of stuff here with how far out they were signing, like Roanoke on the eastbound. Not far enough is the answer. But yeah. What should be signed, obviously, we're going to simplify that a whole lot and just sign a few primaries. Most importantly, Bluefield both ways. Nothing else is really of higher standard than Bluefield. Yeah, and I'm just kidding. I bet VDOT would absolutely love this proposal, though. Bluefield primary both ways until you're getting to Roanoke on the eastbound, and westbound Bluefield Primary all the way from Norfolk, and then throw the next few up there. This is the real signage that I would do. A little more complicated, but still less so than what is actually signed. I get that it is a U.S. highway, but super small towns like Paintsville should not be primaries. Uh, Destinations of most noteworthy status both ways are Blacksburg, Roanoke, Lynchburg, and Norfolk. Should definitely be a control from further away. Bluefield has no business being a control from 120 miles. The last slide was a joke. I do not believe that. Norfolk does get some distance cut because of 95 in Petersburg, because that's a pretty important junction. Uh, but from the westbound, it's pretty simple. Blacksburg, once you get past there, you can sign Bluefield, and then it should be Pikeville and Mount Sterling. That's where the interstate junctions are, not Pikeville, but there's a long way between Bluefield and Mount Sterling, so you can throw Pikeville on there. Um, and for the most part, they did do a pretty good job with the primaries. It's just, you know, making sure they're not signing these small towns in uh, Kentucky mainly. Uh, Although it is a little difficult because that's most of what's on the route. But this is what I believe it should be. From westbound that we talked about: Suffolk, Petersburg, Lynchburg, Roanoke, Blacksburg, Tech, uh, as that's most traffic coming off 81. I'd like that control for Tech. Bluefield, uh, West Virginia, I guess, Pikeville, Mount Sterling, and Frankfort once you get to the very end. Well, thank you guys for watching the finale of the 460 video, and we'll see you next time on the Jersey Barrier.